Yeah, I'm just stalling. I'm just stalling. Let me check my sound over here. Make sure I'm all right. Make sure everything is okay. I turned on the notif go live. Make sure everything is okay. Everything is okay. All right. Everything is okay. A-okay. The notification should have came on, but it didn't. And there we go. Picasso, what's going on, good brother? So welcome to the Troy Grand Experience, episode number 63. Look at that, y'all. 63. 37 more to get to 100, then I'll set up another plateau to climb. But, welcome, welcome, welcome. I watched the fight on Saturday, man, on Netflix. What's up, Picasso, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. So I watched the fight. And they it was a very good fight, y'all. If y'all have a chance, go to Netflix, check out uh Canelo versus Crawford. He did his thing. He made history again. And you know, he cemented his legacy. Well, both men's legacy are cemented. One will always be remembered as the great fighter, and now one will be remembered as a legend. But this is what got touched me the most. When he found out he won, or right before he found out that he won, Crawford, he went to his knees, and there was this shot of his team behind him and some of his children. They were holding up the belts. And I thought to myself, look how powerful that is. You know, look how powerful. The power to believe and to build on your greatness builds legacies and strong generational trees. Look how powerful, God. Look how powerful that is, man. It's not those who can do the job who always get the call. It's those who are willing and have that desire in them to push through anything. And that is Crawford. And that is what builds greatness within you and builds legacies in your families and strong generational trees. Now imagine this, right? Here I am, this youngster from Jamaica, and then I moved to New York and different places, different places. I joined the military. It wasn't until I was in my 40s that I found out from my uncle as he was passing that he won, that he got the Purple Heart when he was in Korea. He was in Korea, he got the Purple Heart. It was Vietnam. And I was like, wow, why didn't you tell me that as a child? I saw the uniform and the hat, and I was always fascinated by it. We never talked about it. He never talked about it. Never even showed me the Purple Heart, ever. Imagine, I said to him, why didn't you show me all that and tell me all that? Imagine what kind of effect that would have had on me as a child, you know? And these are the things that could have shaped my life a little differently, you know? Just imagine, I know some of y'all got relatives in your family and they did something and then you didn't find out till after they passed. And you're thinking all these years, I could have heard the stories, I could have got the knowledge, I could have, blessed them with his flowers and just said, wow, thank you. You know, you instilled in me some powerful, powerful things. Because through your success, now I know that I can do it because somebody else in the family did it. It might not be the same thing that you're gonna do, but now you feel empowered to walk the path of your dreams because this man, this woman, well, with Daddy's Lounge, this man accomplished something great. And that's what, to me, that was the most important. That to me, when I saw those children back there, they holding up the belt and the way they looked at Crawford, I said, yeah, he bringing some greatness into the world. He's gonna build some powerful legacies. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. And be honest with you, most of our families have that same greatness. It's just nourished, that we don't we don't grow to greatness for some reason. And I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about a lot of families in general. I mean, how many of y'all ever walked up on your parents or on your parents and said to them, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that? Could be something as simple as a nurse or a pilot, or hey, look, I'm going to be a mentor. Ain't nobody else in the family mentor. Nah, look, I got a nephew, two of them. One right, one right now is a nurse. He's going to nursing school, and the other one is going to piloting school. And I have another one who buys and sells uh, real estate. That's a big friggin' deal to me, man. Because you know that's just a big friggin' deal that these youngsters decided to walk in the path of their dreams. Big frigging deal, man. They ain't a little deal. And every time I tell them, I talk to them, I say, I'm super proud of you, man. Keep walking the path of your dreams, and you watch. You keep walking the path, and you too will see your greatness come to pass in your lifetime. Because that's big friggin' deals right there when you have the strength to stay on the path. And you have to encourage yourself to be great, because what happens is your spirit will give off energy and draw people to you that'll help nurture and guide that greatness that is within you. And before you know it, you're you're right there at the door, knocking on heaven's door. You're like, wow. Once you take, because most people who work hard to get to their destiny or their greatness don't take the time to say, look how far I've come. It's not till years later when they have accomplished so much and they're older and they're like, wow, I did all that. Not to say they don't enjoy it, but it doesn't hit them like it hit most people until much later. Because they're so busy sowing seeds, sowing seeds, and learning and learning and learning and learning and growing and growing and growing, that you don't even notice how great you are. You don't. But yeah, that was just the fight itself was good, but I was being the father type guy I am. I looked in the faces of those children, man, after the fight, and I said, yeah, we're gonna have some more greatness from that family right there, because there's no reason why they can't be. He's not gonna let them fall. You have to. You definitely can't, because he would never. Crawford would never let his children fall, nor would he tell them can't. He will keep pushing them, pushing them. Well, don't. That's the important thing that we always seem to forget. No matter how, wow, no matter how great or driven you are, you cannot do this by yourself. It's always got to be. And he got a team around him. I forgot to mention his team because I was so focused on his children. But greatness needs a great team, because I'm talented, right? But if you were building a car, I would be the steering wheel. Someone else will have to be the engine. Someone else would be the headlights. Someone else would build the interior, but I'm definitely the steering wheel. All right. But I'm not the engine, because to be the engine, you're the most, to be the engine, you have to You have to put out the most power and energy all the time, every day, all day. And I'm like this. I'm up and I'm down and I'm up and I'm down. And it'll be hard for me to be the engine. But a guide, a steering wheel, definitely that because I'm the idea man. I'm the idea man. That's what sets me apart from you. Just have to know your place in this and guide yourself to your greatness. You can't. Some of us just want to take on everything and say, "I want to get my greatness all by myself." Well, Atlas tried that too, like carrying the world on his shoulders. How did that work out? It didn't. It didn't work out, did it? No, it didn't. So yeah, but let me tell you something, man. When I was inspired by all of that. And don't leave out Canelo because he inspires his. They showed him with his children as well too, and I watched that the interaction he had with his one of his daughters. They went out and they were driving. I'm old, so call them dune buggies or whatever you call them, but they look like they were having a hell of fun, and he let her do her thing. Most parents would get nervous because they weren't slowing down. They have a lot of land, so they weren't slowing down. You know, and think about that. The seeds that get planted in us, we plant in them, you know? And sometimes when we're not watching, they're watching us to see how we handle things when things go bad. And in my house, a lot of times things I just have to get creative and make them work. You know, three boys is never enough food. So what I do, started working at the food bank. I supplemented my food, you know, with three boys and the mortgage and bills and the car note, there's never enough money. So what did I do? I started working on a food truck. Then a gentleman just dropped the keys in my hand and said, "Any you could add stuff to it, but sell my stuff with it, and you keep what you make from what you buy." And then but it was a camera on the truck, so it worked on perfect for me because sometimes I would make $100 a night with what I put on the truck. Sometimes I make 150, 75, and then on top of all that, he paid me in cash every Friday. So I got paid every day, right? And I got more cash on Friday. So I was able to get the school clothing. When you got three boys, there's shoes, everything, your haircuts, because they got tired of me shaving them like this. We got tired of the ball look. But creative thinking and having that powerful mindset can get you through anything. And Lord knows I needed to hear that tonight for me. I needed to hear that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Boxing, I appreciate that. Yeah, because sometimes, you need that encouragement, man, to get to where you're going. You need it. You definitely need it, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Coming on here and talking for half an hour, that's that's not always the best for my personality. In a group setting, I'm good. But me one on one, I feel as if I'm talking to myself. And so what happens is you have to be inspired before you even come on here. And that's when you doing anything that you want to do. If you set into your mind that this is what's driving you, right? Guess what? Follow the path. Because this right here is just a test. Without a test, there's no testimony, right? Let me see if I get brother on here. Okay. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Troy, man? I'm just jumping in, man, to show you some support on your channel, bro.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna be long, but let me touch on a little bit of the Crawford. I saw somebody put in there the Crawford and Floyd thing. We making this comparison against them, and like I was telling somebody, I think it goes like this with Floyd and Crawford. And at
Mm-hmm.
135 and 140, Pretty Boy was better. I think when Floyd became Money Made, he wasn't as vicious as he was. He was more pick his shots, more uh, defense oriented. As far as Pretty Boy, he was a killer. So I say at 135, 140, Pretty Boy was better than Crawford. Now at 147 on up, I got to give it to Crawford, man. I think Crawford was able to keep his power, and he had a more of a killer instinct, whereas Floyd had more of a I want to just win the fight, take very little risk and just get the bag. So that to me, that's the difference between both of them, man. So when you see a lot of people comparing them, oh, who's better, who was the GOAT of their era, they were each the GOAT of their era. But if they were in the same era, that's how I think it would have went in each division if they were ever to meet up.
Yeah, but true. Yeah, well, I that's your opinion, brother. I can't. I'm not in here to disagree or anything like that. But the truth is, I was more focused, like the title says on. I actually used Crawford as a thumbnail, but after the fight, right when he was in the ring and he found out that he won, right, and he was praying and he showed his kids, I was thinking to myself, think of how powerful they're going to be watching all the things that daddy had to go through, and all that stuff. They watched him come up to be a great fighter and a very good man, and that's going to travel over to the next generation. So that's
Oh
why.
yeah,
Yeah.
as a father,
Mm-hmm.
Crawford by 100 miles, man. Crawford is
Oh,
is the epitome of what a father should be to his children, man. You never see him doing all the braggadocious, and he's there for his kids. From what we see of him, he's a family oriented man.
mm-hmm.
Floyd was more of the, what I'm saying, one of the persona of I'm rich. It's all about me, whereas Crawford is, hey man, it's all about my family, man. It's about my community. And after
Right.
it's all said and done, man, when the lights are gone, the money start going low, Crawford to me will still have a supporting cast of family and friends around him that truly love him, and when his kids get older, they'll truly love their father for who he is. Whereas Floyd, everything is based on his money. If his money goes, I think a lot of the support and the so-called friends he had is going to go.
Well,
So
well, the truth is, brother, I was more focused on the fatherhood aspect of it. Like, okay, I told a story when I first got on, right? I grew up with my uncle, and he went to Vietnam, and he was awarded the Purple Heart. I didn't know that until he was on his deathbed. As a child, I saw his
mm,
uniform in there and all that, and he never told me anything about what he did in Vietnam. He tell me about the Purple Heart. He didn't tell me that when he left Vietnam, he went to Detroit and he got signed by Motown. He didn't tell me none of those things. I found out as he was passing, and I asked him, why didn't you share that with me? Because maybe that would have made my life a little different, sent me off in a different direction. And he just said he never thought about it. So, do you have any, yeah, you have anything like from your father that you saw him do that really said, okay, I'm going in this direction because I saw my father do this?
well, as far as me, man, my
Mm-hmm.
father was drafted in Nam. He was an Army veteran, got
Mm-hmm.
injured over there,
Right.
um, and he kind of stirred me away from the military, which I kind of regret that I wish I would have went into.
Mm-hmm.
But and then he ended up going into computer programming.
Okay.
So you know, I saw that as my father. As far as in my family, my father at that time, a black man in the computer field in the '80s was something that was unheard of in the early '80s. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it was a rarity. No one else in my whole family, from all my grandmother kids, uncles, aunts. No one else was in that type of field. And I remember, man, I tell you the thing that used to trip me out, man. I remember my dad would come home. He have his trench coat, he have his briefcase. He's walking down the street, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember my friends was like, "Man, what's your father think he a professor or something?" Because it was odd to them, in that community in DC at that time to see a black man, professional black man
Mm.
so whereas a
Okay.
lot of them, their fathers didn't have those type of jobs, or their fathers wasn't even in the house. Then they'll crack a little joke, man. Look at your pops, man. Your pops a professor, and I'm like, hey, man, my pops is doing. He was making great money, especially back there in the '80s. You know, so
Yeah.
that was something that I looked at when I was going when I was young. I really didn't appreciate it until I got old and was like, man, my pops was doing something that was a rarity. Because even when I have relatives talk to me, say, man, you guys were the first in the family in the early '80s with computers. We used to go to
Mm.
your house and play on the computers, the IBM PC Juniors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, man, you were the only one in the family, the whole family with it. But you don't appreciate those things until you get older and like, dang, man, my pops, he really was doing something back then. But look, Troy, I'm about to get up
Yeah.
out of here, man. I just wanted to drop in to
I
holler at you
appreciate
real
it,
quick,
brother.
man, and just like I say, support your channel, man. And I'll be on there when the guys be trying to clown your channel. Just keep doing what you do, man. Get a turnaround for you, brother.
Oh, definitely, it just takes time, but I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, brother, stay up.
All right, brother. Yeah. So yeah, it's just that was boxing. I like that story he told of his dad. He had his briefcase and his tie, his suit and tie, and his coat, and he was about his business. And he's basically got that from his dad, basically. Like which is powerful. See, because like I was saying, even when you believe they're not watching you, they're watching you. And that's from any age, because you never stop being a father, ever. But I remember my father worked at Georgetown Hospital. He worked at the hospital, but he worked at the warehouse. He managed the warehouse, and then on the weekends we would go clean synagogues. Right, we would go clean synagogues and stuff. He got a contract with about three of them, and I remember going there with him and learning how to clean and all that and all that. And then he even well, I remember one day we had they drove to New York and come back, and he was like, "Oh damn, I forgot to clean the synagogues." Now, mind you, they came to get me from my grandmother's house in New York, and we drove all the way back to Germantown, Maryland, which is quite a hike, right? I think 4 hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, something like that. So he was like, "Look, I know you're tired. I'm tired too, but we gotta go do these synagogues because they're gonna be there tomorrow, and I want to lose my contract." So I got in the van. We knocked it out. Knocked it out in a couple of hours because it was three of them, right? We knocked it out. He always gave me the bathroom. He said, "Them picnic, they're too nasty, man. Me nah go clean them dirty bathroom." So he left me to do it, right? Dirty picnic. Oh boy, but yeah. So that's something else that's instilled in me. Flash your head down years later. I have my two of my three boys, and I get a contract cleaning a private Catholic school, and I get a contract with three banks. Yeah, and I had one child who had ADHD or whatever you want. He was hyper, so I used to take him with me. He hated going to the bank. Well, not the ones that were located in the supermarket, but I had to clean like the main bank that was by itself, and the back of it opened to like alley where the trash was, and me and him used to take the trash out and keep something by the door so we get back in, even though I had the keys on me. So one night I was like, "Come on, we gotta go take out this trash." She's like, "Dad, I want to go home. I don't. It's scary out here." Well, it was because it was in a what would be considered now a MAGA neighborhood. It was just not a place for people like me. But I had the contract, had to knock it out, and I told my wife, I'm not taking him there no more because I can handle myself at the time by myself. But if he's there, there's nothing. I'd be too worried about him. So she understood. And then when I went to the Catholic school, he definitely had to ride with me because he just wouldn't. Every time I got dressed to go, he's sitting by the door like, "Come on, Daddy." I'm like, "You don't want to stay with your brother and hang out with?" No, I want to go. I want to go clean the school. He wasn't really cleaning. He was knocking the erasers together after. He was erasing the board and he liked knocking the damn erasers together. So I told the boy, "You make it more of a mess, and then we gotta go back and clean it up. So please don't knock the erasers together. Together. I mean, we could go outside together and knock them out." He's like, "I don't like it." I could see where the school was. There was a spot called Pasadena, Maryland, and it was at the very last stop before you get on the ferry to the private island. There was no. I mean, they couldn't hear you scream out there, right? So he said, "Daddy, I don't want to go outside. I don't want you to go outside neither." I said, "We have to get to the van though." "Well, yeah, only when we leaving, but I don't want you to go outside by yourself." And so we walked out there, the cup just knocked them out together, and we looked around and stuff like that. And then, a couple of nights I had to buff, and he had to go sit up at the bleachers while I buffed the gymnasium, right? And then I had to follow behind him because he had a habit of signing his name on the blackboards and all that. And I'm like, "Little boy, what are you, graffiti artist?" "I don't even know what graffiti is, Daddy." "Boxing Lounge, what's going on with you?" So I had to go behind it and erased it, and we just headed on out. But like I said, me getting those contracts is because my father had contracts with the damn the Jewish schools. Yeah, I just said their name and poof, I forget like that because that would probably be the last thing I'd want to do. And also, I learned how to buff when I was in the military because as a punishment, I had to buff all three floors because I kept talking back to the drill sergeant. Like I wasn't saying no, drill sergeant, yes, drill sergeant. You don't call them sir. I was saying no. I was doing it on purpose, actually. At that age, I was 19. I was like, no, yes. And it's like, yes, what? And I would just get quiet and stare at them. And sometimes I would laugh. And that would piss them off. So they punished me by having me buff all three floors and every room. Mm. Then they came in with their combat boots and walked all over my work. Wonderful thing, wonderful thing. But the beauty of it all is even when you're doing whatever you do, whether you just work 9 to 5, you you're building a business, you're doing both. You work 9 to 5 and you're building a business. And on them days that you say to yourself, "I'm gonna pack it up, I'm gonna pack it in, I can't do it no more," guess what happens? You're gonna see them from the corner of your eye. There's this little life watching you, right? And your eyes gonna lock, then they're gonna come over and jump on you. You're gonna be like, "Daddy, you all right? You look sad." You just gonna smile. You might bust out laughing like I used to do, because I used to just, little boy used to just come over and like, "You all right, Daddy? You want some water?" Like I'm some plant. "You want some water, Daddy? You want some water?" Nah, man, I'm good. And he inspired me to get up on the nights I didn't want to get up and clean the school and clean the bank all by myself. Because he's like, I after a while he was like, "Daddy, I don't want you to go by yourself, but I'm scared. You be careful." And his sister was the same way when I used to work at Well, I used to work at the airport, right, VWI, and every now and then I would miss the light rail, which took me to the train station to catch the bus. That's a lie. I would get to the light rail stop and then have to catch the bus to take me home, and I would be like 5 minutes and miss the last bus that went by my house. Sometimes I catch a cab, and when I didn't want to catch a cab because I was so empowered, I would walk the 3 miles home at night. And this is when I say at night, it was 12:30 in the morning. And she'd be like, "Why him walking all the time, Ma? I, I I'd be worried about him. Why don't he just catch a cab or the bus?" And I'm like, him is not my name, and I'm sitting right here, little girl, little 4-year-old, 5-year-old girl calling me him. Him. Why him? He said, "You don't need to miss the bus no more, him." I said, "That's not my name." So I used to tell her, "I'm gonna try not to miss the bus but the train." That's what happens sometimes. So from then on, you know, I made sure I had cab money. I made sure there was no Uber back then. We talking about like damn near 30 years ago. Was no Uber back then. And that later on in life, she had told me that instilled in her to push on through to finish nursing school. And she remembers me constantly telling her not to quit. And she remembers me walking from uh, the train station, which was 3 miles. To be honest with you, yeah, the train station was 3 miles away. So it took me about 45 minutes or something like that to get home, or maybe a little longer than that. Because where I had to pass by this wooded area, so I always had to have something on me. You didn't worry? Nah. I never put those seeds into my head, Picasso, because once you plant them in your head, they're gonna manifest themselves, and it would be just me out there, or me and my son, and it wouldn't be nothing nice. So, yeah, I never gave it no thought, but they were there. Make no mistake about it. The clan was definitely there. They were there then, and they're there now. Tell you a quick story that goes off from the topic here, but I met a professor who got a job on that private island. Gibson Island is what it's called. You can Google that. Gibson Island in Pasadena, Maryland. So he was an engineer. He was hired uh, to be a teacher on that private island at the school. So he let them know that he's going to send his family ahead of himself to because they gave him a house and everything, right? So yeah, he said my wife and children are coming in the next day. He's telling me this story, and they're gonna set the house up and everything else. And they said, fine, we'll make sure she gets on the ferry and da, 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 da. So his wife came, and when she got off the bus, got off the ferry, that Filipino woman said that this is his wife telling the story. She said that she felt a hatred she had never felt ever. And this was in 2000, right? Because he had rented a car and I went to go pick him up to get him his rented car. And he was telling me the story. And he said, I grew up in Mississippi. And at the time, he was 55. I'm a 55-year-old man, and I grew up in Mississippi. And I could tell you that was a different type of hate that I felt. That was a different type of hate he said he felt. And he was white, but they hated him because his wife was Filipino. So basically, he was under contract, so he couldn't quit. So what they did, and they really couldn't fire him. So what they did was they just bought out his contract, right? and gave him the money and allowed him to leave. And he and all of that. Yeah, yeah. True story. True story with that. And Gibson Island used to be black owned, but it's not anymore. We lost that. Most of Pasadena, which is waterfront property, used to be black owned because you know how they lost it. Credit, drinking, gambling, they lost it mainly on credit. Well, you could use this partial of my land until I pay you back. Then they just kept adding up debt, and they lost that land. And so that's why it's important, very important, that when God gives you this vision and it won't let go of your soul, that's your sign to greatness right there. That's your greatness right there. And you're gonna be put through something. You are. But when the smoke clears and the sun comes up, you're gonna be like, thank you, Lord, because look where I am now and who I am now, considering where I came from. Because I could have stayed there. And Lord, did I need to hear these words myself? Because I needed to, because I was feeling a little down about some stuff. And it was wearing me down, man. I kept sleeping. I would sleep, but I could hear myself snore. How was that possible? But because I wasn't going into REM sleep. So that whole thing about greatness and legacies and strong generational trees, it starts with you. Some of us are chosen to be the actual root and then grow into the tree that has, and then produce great strong branches. And then they will grow off and they will start their own tree and start their own branches, and they will just, the family will continue, but it'll always be some greatness within the family because the seed was planted generations ago and then it was carried on, and it just keeps going through the family. Even if it's one, that one will turn into many in the next generation, and then it might turn back to one, and then it just, is mathematics. Basically, it's just mathematics. That's how it works. And so that's why I watched the fight. Yes, I did, and I enjoyed it. Uh, and I've been following this young man's career since he beat Gamboa, because I never heard of him until he fought Gamboa. Let me be honest with you. I didn't know who he was. I thought Gamboa was going to beat him because I knew Gamboa. I did not know Crawford. Right? So when I saw that Gamboa rocked him and then dropped him, I said, okay, well, this fight over. Mm-mm, mm-mm. That boy got up and said, not today, not in my city, not in my state. Uh-uh. Pow, pow, pow. That's right, baby. You good, but I'm better. And if you get better, then I'll just have to turn on the greatness. And that's what he did. Every time Crawford had to step up to a new higher challenge, he didn't just win. He made a statement. And that's what great people do. They don't just win. Anybody can just win. Anybody. You know? We don't remember Usain Bolt because he just won the races. He blew them away. He blew them away. So yeah, it was beautiful, man. And hopefully it will plant some seeds into other people who might have saw it the same way that I did. I hope that that young man's strength and his drive and his successes plant seeds into many others. And I mean that, because paying it full forward doesn't always have to do with cash. Having cash doesn't really mean anything to everybody. Flashy cars don't mean everything to everybody. But the lesson on how to achieve those things That's where your power is. That's where your true wealth is and your true power is. Flashing the damn cars don't mean nothing because somebody else has a better car than you. You have 10 cars, somebody has 100. You can only drive one car at once. Whoops. You know, just like people say, well, I own a lot of land. The treasure and the greatness in that is to teach people how to do it. Because you could do classes and say, okay, well, I'm gonna take the first 300 people and I'm gonna teach them how to buy land and do how to make money off the land. 10% of those people are the ones that are gonna take the lessons and run with it. The other 90% are gonna start something, but then life gonna come in, they're gonna fall off. Something gonna come in, they're gonna fall off. Greatness doesn't fall off. Greatness bends but don't break. You know, bends. Greatness shakes but don't quake. You know, greatness remembers what it takes, and even in the hard time, it remembers that I have to do this for heaven's sake. hmm And greatness, most importantly, gives you that strong mind to let you know he doesn't come when he calls, but he's always on time. Doesn't come when he calls, but he's always on time. And on that note, my beautiful people, I want to say thank you and bless up. And I will see you again Friday. I'm trying to get my nephew on here Friday so I can talk to him about his thing. All right, brother. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, sisters. Thank you, everybody who watched this over in Africa, UK, Canada, Paris, and all the other places that I send it out to. Everybody that'll watch it later, because I've been going back and seeing people liking and watching the posts weeks after the show come out. Amazing to me. That's right. And Picasso, thank you, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you showing up. I really do. Thank you, sir. And you have a blessed day, man. All right. Let me jump off here and go put away my laundry since Sunday. Peace out. I am the stone that the builder refused.